That might be why. You can probably hear me now. That should be a lot better. So for all those who missed out on the third time, here's the fourth time. Now that my vocals are now, coming through. This was an issue that I had during my live screen filter, is the columns weren't on fully, and that caused other issues. So that being said, again, thank you again for the fourth time for coming and showing up to the This Week at Bungie on 4/21, which again, like I was saying before, is a very special day because it's my wife's birthday. So she's currently working, but I have an awesome rib dinner planned for her, and this weekend I'm going to be making her an awesome cake that is designed off a 90s infomercial Betty Crocker filled cake setup that I was able to buy off of Amazon, which is really cool. And the box is even old. You can see it's really old as well, which is really cool. So continuing on for the umpteenth time, thank you again for everyone, sticking by. So this week at Bungie, we have this huge intro of what should I say, what should I not say. I don't know if it's like them trying to let us know what's going on, or almost an apology letter, or no. So continuing on, so we started going through it before in the other attempts, and the biggest thing I was starting to take away is a lot of fluff information. So I'm going to try and paraphrase as much of this as I possibly can to get some of the bigger key takeaways that I believe are some of the bigger impacts. Airborne gunplay. So my quick review off this is they're looking at targeting all of that airborne gameplay, precision weapons, Icarus grip, trying to get away from having such potential crazy accuracy in air that it puts us down more on the ground. There is actually something a lot of people might really enjoy on this. The hunter community is going to hate it. But a spoiler, in this TWAB, they state that Stompies, yes, Stompies, the ones that everyone loves to see hunters use. Even hunters, we're so far pushed into using them. Yes, I am a hunter main, but I do try and be balanced. That Stompies will automatically give you a hidden -50 to aerial gunplay. So you might be seeing eventually that hunter going bing bong bong bing bong, and you're gonna be like, crap, how am I supposed to deal with this? Go in, because at this point he now has a -50 to his aerial gunplay. If he's still killing you and your feet are on the ground, we might need to start talking about social awareness and the individual's gunplay at that point. Continuing on, the next portion they're covering is flinch and mitigating flinch. And with this is excessive flinch is a frequent complaint from players, most importantly when using primary weapons and taking large chunks of damage from enemies. Players should be able to invest in flinch resistance, and baseline flinch should be lower on primary weapons, but hard-tuned per archetype so that the weapons that need flinch resistance have the easiest access to it. Now, if I'm correct, another quick spoiler in the TWAB is, after review is, if I'm correct, the ones that, have the less flinch, if I'm correct, were the shotties, fusions, sniper rifles, based off their identifiers. I could be reading that wrong. It was my first overview, so we'll try and dive down into that as best as possible. Next, they want to cover the reduced number of one-hit kills in PvP. Yes, one-hit kills. They want to turn PvP into more of a gun battle than I run around and I'm going to one-shot you, I'm going to, kill you at existence, move on to the next target, kill him out of existence, and start chaining. Another spoiler, based off of my quick review on this TWAB, is special management. No matter what, they're pretty much going to be killing scavs. Therefore, you take 2 fusion shots to kill 1 person. Look, it is a brick of special. You are now rewarded with 1 new shot for your fusion rifle or shotgun. You just use 2 shots to kill someone. So whiffing shots is going to be less of a thing. This was an interesting issue with Revoker. Revoker was a really, really good, like, trainer sniper rifle. The mulligan on it was really good for, hey, I've got a sniper rifle, I want to practice using it, I really want to get out there and try and do some crazy ass shots without being horribly penalized for it. Now that gun's been sunsetted since then, but it's still a good go-to option to practice with in the lower tiers of the Crucible. Say Control, Survival. Yes, I said Survival of Lore because you can bring Not Forgotten into that thing. You can bring your Holier Than Grail, Vanilla D2, whatever hand cannon that you had that's no longer available that you love, and just slay with it. However, you get into more end-tier content, higher tier, Traveler's Iris, Iron and Banana. Yes, your Revoker can probably still do the do. It's going to be less as good. Your hand cannon is going to get outshined by anything that is of light level. Unless you're just epic god tier, use it and could say, I don't care about your light level, I'm going to outplay you, I'm going to perform you, I'm going to hit all my headshots, multiple extras, and, you know, and the words of another association here, ping pong, and Tenno can finish the next line for you if you could hear him. I didn't hear him. Next, address common feedback on all weapons across the game. Each season, the weapon team looks at legendary and exotic weapons that are over and underperforming and make adjustments. Alright, so this is where you start seeing potential metas like change. We'll also see, you know, no one's using, you know, Horror Story. Let's there's the Tenno. There's the Tenno with the comments. Thank you, Tenno. Ping pong. Sorry. Had a moment there. That was good. Thanks, Tenno. Now let's get back on track. So, my Horror Story. It doesn't work. So they tweak, like, say, Horror Story. They bring it on par. However, I don't feel like there's enough sandbox gameplay testing for some of these tweaks. And also, the Horror Story is now got some tweak that happened that it is now a cross-map laser beam one-shotting fool from, you know, Doom with your, what was that, BFG 9000. That was a fun gun. Now, continuing on a bit before we get to some more nitty-gritty details, we got a glaive and rave. Now, me personally, I've been noticing more glaive play in PvP. I tend to house more in PvP. I do venture out in PvE. PvE is fun. But running the same exact event over and over again in a certain way dulls the brain and the senses for me. And some people see that with PvP. However, I like to push myself into situations constantly that change out the monotony. And pieces are constantly moving. It's like playing chess, but, you know, not playing in the same way every single time. So I'm going to, you know, kind of glance over this whole, you know, glaive situation pretty quickly. They really wanted to get into how the perks should have properly been activated. Melee should not activate perks that trigger off power melees. Glaive should benefit from melee damage buffs such as Winter's Guile, Wormgod Caress. Glaive melee should not benefit from weapon damage buffs such as Rampage, Cocalyptus, Swashbuckler. And glaive projectiles should benefit from weapon damage buffs. Let's see, some key takeaways with the glaives. They were changing during Season 16 for quality of life is projectile hits to reach a maximum energy decrease from 6 to 4. So what happened is we got these really cool exotic glaives. That was about it. They were exotic and they were glaives. At first, it was like, how do you activate this cool new perk? Well, you had to get 6 shots with it consistently to proc the exotic ability. Well, they have changed that to 6 to 4 to actually allow it to proc properly. We had an issue where I was a hunter and I'm sitting there swinging away, and I had to completely wait for every animation and then I could activate my ability to dodge, and it created a really oh crap I died moments, because as hunters we're not the fastest, like I like to say, we're the quickest, so being able to do quick reactions is key. Now if you want us to, you know, run the 2 mile, the Titans and the Warlocks are gonna beat us. It's just how it goes. Grave Robber perk. The Grave Robber perk seemed like an awesome optimal choice when we first got these. I was like, all right, and then I noticed something silly and funny. It didn't work. Lo and behold, eventually found out that Bungie had turned it off. Didn't get word of it. It probably popped up in one of those quick banners that people sometimes don't realize they're popping up on your screen, saying something is potentially disabled. Now, ever so often, as we all know, it pops up. We get shot in the foot because we're hitting a button or doing something that goes away, and you're like, oh, what the shit was that? Well, in the muck of everything that's fun and cool with Witch Queen, so many things were going on that trying to go back and figure out what popped up wasn't in the mind. It wasn't in my mind in the forefront. It was got sidecarded, got side tabled. Who cares? I'll figure it out later. Something happened. So we started using Subsistence. I think it was weeks before Grave Robber really got turned back on, and I think it was after the raid debuted and finally pulled it. And by this time, I've kind of ventured away from using the glaive and whatnot, using other tools. Eventually put Grave Robber on, like, oh, this is cool, it works, and I'm just gonna vault my glaive right now because I'm tired of using it. Sealed Akamar Grasps no longer reload glaives on projectile hits, but does on melee hits as expected. See, I never thought about using Sealed Akamar Grasps for this, simply because, well, since D1 and D2, they moved over exotics, they changed how exotics worked, and Sealed Akamar Grasps is one of those ones that doesn't really stick in the forefront of my mind, because it doesn't do the same thing anymore, which is weird. Apparently when the tower got destroyed and destroyed my last pair, and I got my new pair, or found my new pair, whichever way it goes, something changed in them, and they're not the same, so they just usually sit in my vault collecting dust. Now, moving forward, glaive melees can no longer stun lock high health combatants. That's good, because the stun lock on glaives could be pretty nasty. Like, 1 hit points down, I'm going to destroy you, I'm going to Mike Tyson punch you out. You are not moving until you are dead in the ground. Hello, Queen Bee, how's it going? Now, let's move on. Yeah, like I said, like a lot of this portion has a lot of glaives, a lot of interesting information, but not at the same time, because glaives I feel like are now kind of like a niche market. Like, they're going to be really good for some, not for all, depending on playstyles. As a hunter, it's one of those go-tos because the invisibility portion. But, so here's what's changing in Season 17 for some of the glaives. We are pushing glaives deeper into the roles of hard-hitting melee damage and near complete protection while shielded, as well as increasing projectile speed to make them more reliable at range. Yeah, so when glaives came out, I'd already been playing a game called Hunt Showdown. Hunt Showdown's fun. Me and my boo, Tenno, we play it from time to time when things get a little stale, and they have a weapon in there that's kind of like the glaive. So once this came out, the projectile travel was not too much to really learn, but if you haven't used a weapon like this, where it really has the distance to travel, the potential arc or anything like that, it really kind of throws people off at first until you get used to it. Having it travel a little bit faster really lowers that curve, in my opinion. Now, let's see. Glaive Shields grants 97.5 damage resistance in PvE and 75% in PvP. I really like how they're doing the separation between PvE and PvP. Really gets away from the nerfs that we saw in D1, whereas like Vex Mythoclast is dominating. We are going to nerf Vex Mythoclast, and now it is unusable in PvP. And PvE, they killed the weapon, they neutered it. So having the separation between the two allows things to potentially be nuked a little bit in PvP, as they should be, but keep their potency in PvE. It's easy. Just create another column. Do an if and or statement. If this event does this, if or this, done. For those who don't know, I have a background and degree in software engineering. Ha! Oh, B, I'm doing pretty good. Woke up. Today is the missus's birthday, so won't be on too much today. Do enough to this review, do a little running around on the Destiny, and then, you know, cooking some bread for the wife. I got a birthday cake planned for this weekend, and overall gonna see what the wife wants to do this for this weekend. So I'll be intermittent in and out. But thanks for asking, B. So continuing on, still with glaives. This is a long section. Reduce energy drain speed while shielded by 30%. Increase projectile speed dependent on the range stats. So they're really going to be changing how the projectile speed goes based off of the range stats. So if you're at 0, increase 30 to 60 milliseconds. At 100 stat, increase from 80 to 100 milliseconds. So they kind of doubled how fast it hits the end target depending on the range or how fast it's moving. It's probably actually meters per second, I'm guessing. Might be off on that, not milliseconds. Continuing on. Let's see. Something in my throat. Exotic glaives have been buffed, in addition to the global glaive changes, which is going to affect them as well from the looks of it. It makes it easier to build energy, which this is always really nice to have as well. The Titan Glaive, Age of Actions, players now gain a Void Overshield while inside the bubble. Helm of Snake 14 now applies to the bubble as it does for the Ward of Dawn. Interesting, interesting. Warlock Glaive, Edge of Intent, increases speed and acceleration of healing turret projectiles. So we're going to have better turrets that, you know, heal. My boy Tenno would love this because he likes his turrets. And if we can get this to activate, especially with Solar 3.0 coming out on the burn and heal, that's going to be nice. Hopefully that gets increased in Solar 3.0 with the Warlock Glaive. We might see Solar being the glaive scenario that the Hunters got for Void. Now the Hunter Glaive, Edge of Concurrence, triple the damage of the wave detonation. Increase the number of enemies it can change from 4 to 8. So we're virtually doubling the capability of the Hunter Glaive. This will be the Arc 3.0 probably go to. Because everything's fast and snappy, Hunters will probably have that ability again. I'm not too sure how the Titan Glaive really worked so much with Void 3.0, seems though it is, if I'm correct, a Void Glaive. Haven't seen it too much. The ones you usually see are in a lot of different spanning activities is the Ray Glaive. Alright, moving on to global changes flinch. Whew, this is a fun one. So, flinch, aim detection on receiving damage, typically called flinch, is a common pain point, particularly on primary ammo weapons. We've rebuilt the stability weapon stat to grant flinch resistance in addition to its other effects, with a maximum flinch resistance of 10% to 25% dependent on weapon archetype. With this change, players can build for flinch resistance more easily on weapons that feel flinch more than others, and less on special weapons, which we don't want to be easier to use when under fire. I tell you what, as a slug shotgun main, I will put unflinching on my slug shotgun because there's nothing better than having to not only aim a shotgun, which I feel like I always have to do, but being flinched while trying to put that dot on someone's head to finish them off. So for internal playing tests, you may not feel the difference when using just one source of flinch resistance, but when stacking 2 or more sources, the benefits will be strong. Higher zoom weapons are more affected by flinch, which we took into account when tuning these numbers. Alright, so higher zoom weapons. The first thing I think of besides, you know, sniper rifles and anything that potentially has them, anything with rangefinder. Rangefinder, if I'm correct, does a natural zoom modifier. So I'm curious as if rangefinder will be negatively affected by flinch, seems though it would count potentially as a higher zoom weapon. If it has any type of modifier extra, are you going to be hit with extra flinch? Question. So now we got a breakdown for flinch resistance with 100% stability. So auto rifles, submachine guns, and bows, from the looks of it, will be getting a 25% modifier to flinch resistance. with that being said, it looks like auto rifles, submachine guns, and bows will have 25% less flinch, 20% for pulse rifles, scout rifles, sidearms, and machine guns. Hand cannons and trace rifles will only get 15%. Fusion rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles, grenade launchers, linear fusion rifles, and rocket launchers. We really worried about flinch? With a rocket? I don't know about you, but I'm not usually too concerned about flinch in a rocket. Very few times have I ever potentially been flinched to the point where it's messed up my shot. Usually I'm hitting, the floor anyways. You flinch me up a little higher, it's still within the blast radius. Bob's your uncle, they're still dead. Now, note that a stability stat of 20 or below will technically have a smaller flinch resistant penalty, but around 5 weapons have a stability stat in that range. So it looks like they'll be monitoring here because it is a related change, and the resilience character stat. The resilience character stat now grants flinch resistance of 0 at 0 and 10% at 100. So, all of you big bub titans who are 100 resilience are now going to also get a 10% flinch reduction. Me being a weird ass hunter. Yes, I say me being a weird ass hunter because I typically go for a mobility resilience build. I like having that extra little bit of shield. I like getting in there if need be, being able to survive with that just a little bit extra hair and taking things out. Now, that being said, if you have a high resilience build, you are going to get less for flinch. That is awesome. I like that. That makes sense. Now we got some examples here. A 100 stability stat Syros pulse rifle with Syros synergy active, 10 resilience, no distractions, 2 unflinching pulse armor mods, while buffed by rally barricade. Oh, doggy. So, jeez. We're going to take 0.8 times 0.8 times 0.9 times 0.65 times 0.7 times 0.5 equals 0.1x, i.e., you now have 90% flinch resistance. 90% flinch resistance. Do you know what that means? That means you're taking your flinch like from this, and now your flinch is like this. Approximately. Too good. It's going to be fun. A 70 stability hand cannon, 5 resilience, 1 flinching hand cannon armor mod. Well then, doing more fun math. I love how they swapped this up. They, swapped from the X multiplier signs to the star. Whatever. Now gives you a 39% flinch resistance. So, everyone complains potentially about hand cannons. Hand cannons, are going to be on the lower end of things. So it's going to be easier to flinch a hand cannon versus, say, a Syros pulse rifle. However, if you're also having that range stat, if you have different scopes, modifiers on there, that's going to be a downfall as well. Holy cow, this is very verbose. Now, airborne gunplay. This is a very interesting topic. I like it, but I don't at the same time. Before getting into the buildcraft, we made fundamental change to the modifier applied while airborne. Your primary weapons will have less randomness and projectile accuracy in most cases. You will have less aim assist instead, and you'll need precise aiming to land your shots without building heavily into airborne. Okay, so what that says is they're removing, I'm guessing, virtually like a aim assist bullet magnetism, so therefore you have to take your select shotgun while in airborne and really put that dot on their head. You can't have that dot be on their head, but right here, and have bullet magnets drag it over, or have aim assist kind of, tag on to slow your reticle just that little bit to finish off the shot. Let's see, we've added a new weapon stat called Airborne Effectiveness, which is present on all weapons except those where being airborne doesn't have any effect, i.e. swords, which maps onto aspects of airborne gunplay using these guidelines. With little or no investment, 0 to 30 airborne stat, a character will have a smaller accuracy penalty than retail, but will have significantly lower aim assist. So it looks like it's penalizing more on the aim assist than actual like a weapon bloom type thing, where your weapon bullet just, you shoot it on their head, it just goes out to existence. It looks like they're keeping the I had it dead on the middle of your head, and it's still got a hit, but it's going to be harder to get there. With minimal investment, 31 to 50 airborne stat, a character will have around the same inner accuracy as Icarus equips weapons do currently, but with noticeable lower aim assist. Again, so if you have about a 30 to 51 airborne stat, you will have the same inner accuracy as Icarus equipped weapons do currently. So it almost looks like if you have this stat at about 30 to 50 with no Icarus grip equipped to a weapon, you'll still have weapons that feel like they have Icarus grip on them. Again, lower aim assist. With a substantial investment, 51 to 70, a character will have a better accuracy than retail weapons with Icarus, with fewer misses due to randomness, but with reduced aim assist. Ooh, this is where we start seeing that randomness? Is this potentially because there is a little bit of bloom? Just a little bit of bloom still in there? So you do have the possibility of your bullet aimed right here, which they want to give you the ability to, I have my reticle on your head, and I pull the trigger and the bullet goes there. But it looks like there is still some strobe bloom where there is a chance that it goes bye-bye. With specialized investment, 71 to 99, a character will have no airborne accuracy penalty and very slightly less aim assist. So 71 to 99, looks like you're looking at using a precision weapon. You're not getting penalized for it with a minimal derogation to aim assist. With full investment, 100 airborne stat, a character will have no airborne penalty and the same as aim assist. So what they're saying is they're going to give us the ability to negate everything they just did. If you focus in on there and you get 100 airborne stat, you are going to still be, wicked in the air. Unless you're a hunter rocking stompies, then your 100 airborne stat is going to automatically nix to the 50 level. Remember how I brought that spoiler out earlier? Stompies will be getting a minus 50 airborne stat. God, you Titan Warlock's gonna be jumping for joy on that one. Alright. So, also, this stat has been hard-tuned for all exotics. Everything that is shipped in Season 16 and 17, and everything that is ever shipped as Trials of Cyrus or Nightfall loot. Older legendary weapons have a default value, set per weapon archetype to a value just below the middle of the allowed stat range. Set per weapon archetype to a value just below the middle of the allowed stat range. That's interesting. We're going to need some interpretation on that one eventually. Note, this will be a hidden stat in Season 17 launch, similar to aim assist and recoil direction. You'll be able to check the stat on specific weapons through an API, i.e. DIM, LightGG, Destiny Tracker, one of those sites, any site that you go and use to look up weapons that show the lovely aim assist and recoil deviation stat, there will now be one that will give you your airborne stat. Alright. This stat influences several aspects of airborne gunplay. The aim assist cone penalty angles. Let's see. Minus a high penalty to this angle at 0 stat and low or 0 penalty at 100 stat. Interesting. Are they trying to tell us, or is it just like a add-on to it? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. Air cone penalty, accuracy cone penalty, angle for primary weapons, a lower penalty than current at 0 stat, 0 penalty at 0 to 60 stat. I'm currently out of water, so my mouth is drying out a little bit. Let's see. Next, we'll go to the accuracy cone penalty for special weapons. A slightly lower penalty than currently at 0 stat, 0 penalty at 100 stat. So we're talking about the cones. So this is my correct is like, as you fire, your cone gets bigger, and eventually, no matter where you hit, if your cone's big enough, your bullet's gonna land over here or somewhere else. It's, if I'm correct, that's the original bloom. Headshot aim assist, 0 at 0 stat, 1 degree at 100 stat on primary weapons, select shotguns, later fusions, and machine guns. A 0.5 degrees on sniper rifle. This is getting into some very interesting math, and we'll take some, interesting review to really kind of dub down, and, some PowerPoints and some graphic visuals. But right now, this is all we got. Now, this controls how forgiving headshots are while airborne. If it is 0, you must be pinpoint aim precisely at the head to get the headshot. Otherwise, you will get a body shot even if your aim assist cone overlaps the head. Interesting. So this is the situation when it's like, oh, I shot him in the head. Why was it a body shot? It's that you weren't exactly pinpoint on, but we're gonna give you some damage. So follow it up that melee if you've got that shotgun, or swap over that hand cannon and finish him off with a sniper rifle if you can, or double body. Previously, while airborne, players would get aim assisted for the headshots provided their aim assist cone overlapped their head at all. Interesting. That is very interesting to have known and to see. So previously, while airborne, players would get full aim assist for headshots, provided their aim assist cone overlapped their head at all. So hitting lower on the neck, aim assist cone, it could still count as a head. So it looks like they're getting away from the potentiality of a bullet magnetism to the dome. If it's not pinpoint on the dome, it is going to be a body shot, as it should. Pellet shotgun spread angle, plus 25% at 0 stat, 0 at 100 stat. More shotgun spread at lower airborne effective stat. So, with that being said, the lower your airborne stat is, the bigger your cone is going to be. So you might see a resurgency back in Fellwitcher's Life for the shot package. Anything to keep that cone spread smaller. So you'll have, full choke, shot package, various other, perks that keep that spread as tight as possible. So when you're airborne and you get that penalty, it limits how big it can actually be. So, best way I can explain that is my normal cone of my shotgun's this big. I jump in the air, it's going to be this big. Now, this big. Now we put, like, say, shot package, other stuff on. That narrows it down to here. Then we jump, it narrows it down to here. Much better than the here we had before. My quick hand visuals. Gotta love it. Yeah, shooting in the air, Queen Bee, is it's an interesting art. Different rules have been applied throughout a while. Like precision frames, they don't get airborne inaccuracy. So if you have a precision frame, you can put targeting adjuster on it. Whereas you have a hand cannon, it's not precision frame, and you're going to be doing potentially anything in the air. Like the moment, anytime your feet comes off the ground, you hit with that penalty. So you see, hand cannon assholes like me running around with Icarus grip on their hand cannon. So if I do that quick little pop up, I'm not getting penalized. I mean, not as bad, but I'm not getting penalized. What this means overall is that you get fewer misses due to randomness from your accuracy cone while airborne, but reliance on aiming is much higher at a lower stat. So, like I said before, from the looks of it, if you have your reticle dead on in the face, it is going to give it to you. If you have your reticle off to the side of the face, neck, around where we've seen bullet magnetism, like where they pull the bullet in for the headshot, it's just going to count as the body. You are going to have to be accurate for those headshots. which is going to bring a very interesting play into those slug shotguns and those sniper rifles, and those people doing those more crazier shots where they shot you in the neck but it hit, you know, in the head, or they shot above your head or side. It's not going to count even close as much anymore. You are going to get that body shot, or it's going to whiff. And then with special ammo going the way it is, to where, you know, you have to double body to kill someone, cool. Now you have to run over there, or if you're slick shotgun the guy in front of you, took 2 shots, you pick up your ammo that you won from them, and you have scabs on, it's still only ever going to give you one special, which is fine by me. That's really going to emphasize on precision and really using your either defensive weapons or your sneaky weapons more accurately and with less just willy-nilly, whatever. Okay. Before and after examples of accuracy come penalty. Hand cannons. I love my use of my hand cannons. Always have, since D1. Usually it was always the slower the better. So Bungie, if you're listening, can we get first curse back? Crickets, got it, okay. So, hand cannons, before, a 0.667 degrees airborne penalty. So, after a 0 stat, you'll have, looks like you get penalized a little bit less at a 0 stat with hand cannons. Kind of cool. After a 60 stat, it's a 0 degrees. So, depending on your stat, it's going to see, like, you know, how much you're being penalized. Sniper rifle, before it's 3 degrees when you're in air. Like, you see people jumping and shooting shots, they probably got lucky, or they're doing something nefarious. So let's see. After Joe stat 2 degrees, which with this difference, you are base making sniper rifles a little bit better to be airborne with. However, they did add you have to be more precise with them. So you get a little less degree angle while being airborne. However, it's still, again, you shoot the neck, it's going to be a body shot. You shoot near the head, it's going to whiff or be a body shot. You have to be still dead on. After a 60 stat, you get a 0.8. After 100, you get a 0 degree. It looks like there is still a 0 degree mitigation for some of these, which is pretty cool. You have to get a build for that. You're really going into, I want to be airborne when I'm shooting, which means you are probably sacrificing other modifiers. Again, hunters, minus 50 for airborne penalty with stompies. Not emphasizing that enough, because I'm making my Titans and Warlocks very, very, very happy on that one. Which means you'll probably see less work with stompies, and we'll start going into more of the Dragon Shadow. In my case, I've really gotten to Solar again for the young Akamarka Spine. Trip mines, they're fun as hell. You'll see us branching out, because now we're forced to branch out. That's my theory, at least. Okay, airborne effective stat comes from 3 sources: weapon, subclass, and armor. Weapon. The weapon's base airborne effective stat, with ranges varying from 0 to 10 and 0 to 30 depending on the weapon's archetype. That's interesting, depending on the archetype. Exotic weapons typically get bumped up. Higher stat than legendary weapons and the archetype, which makes sense. Exotic weapons should be a slight step above their counterparts. Like Ace of Spades. Ace of Spades should constantly have more perks set up than, say, Not Forgotten. Not Forgotten was a beast and a powerhouse. And at first, if I'm correct, it debated at 180, which was, if anyone remembers Not Forgotten at 180, holy balls. They tuned that down to 150, and now I think it's down to 140 with everything else, but whew. The Icarus, Grip, and Adept Icarus weapon mod will be plus 15. Certain weapon perks, such as redesigned air assault. Redesigned air assault? Hold on. Redesigned air assault. Does anyone remember what air assault was? I believe it came on one shotgun during the Season of the Forge. That's interesting. Valid stat ranges for legendary weapons. Interesting. Exotics sometimes exceed these, which, as they should, they're exotic. You only get one, and that's why you picked that weapon. You wanted it for X, Y, and Z reason. Alright, so, hand cannons, 0 to 25, sidearms, 0 to 30, auto rifles, 0 to 25, pulse rifles, 0 to 25, scout rifles, 0 to 20, submachine guns, 0 to 30, bows, 0 to 20, sniper rifles, 0 to 5, shotguns, 0 to 5, fusion rifles, 0 to 10, breach grenade launchers, 0 to 5, trace rifles, 0 to 15, rocket launchers, 0 to 10, machine guns, 0 to 20, linear fusion rifles, 0 to 15, drum grenade launchers, 0 to 20. Notice there's a difference between I'm going to go from a breach grenade launcher to a drum grenade launcher. We're primarily talking about, in that case, we've got your specials and we got your heavies. We've got your, what is that? We've got your mountaintop versus your play of the game. And then glaive, 0 to 15. 0 to 15. You know, airborne penalty, that's probably for while you're shooting, not while you're melee. Can you imagine an airborne penalty when you're trying to melee? Like, I didn't have it completely on there. I doubt that's going to go in the melee. Higher tiers of legendary weapons. Trials, Raid, Nightfall use the upper end of these ranges as with the other stats. Well, of course. These are end-tier weapons. You've grinded for them. You've tried to get them. You've given your heart and soul into getting this one weapon that is just a niche above, but not quite an exotic. Like, you've got your legendary, your exotic, and you got your adepts. Adepts should always be in between. Some examples of exotic outliers. Sweet Mistress will be 27, Merciless will be 15, Fighting Lion will be 12, and if I'm correct, they're doing a crazy buff to Fighting Lion too soon. Sunshot 27. Sunshot still the only 150 hand cannon in the game, and also a great trainer for trying to figure out how to hand cannon. Skyburner's Oath 35. Frat King 30. I'll be your Huckleberry for 33. Ace of Spades 14. Again, as an example of an exotic that is already plenty strong enough and doesn't need to excel here. Yeah, Ace of Spades. All around, maybe one of the best hand cannons in the entire game. I'm biased towards it. I love Cade. He's a fellow hunter. Rest in peace. But that gun, always loved it. Now, there's a perk from D1 on it I wish we could get back. I can't remember what it's called, but I wish we could get that one back. Pardon me. The Chaperone. 1. Ditto. Interesting. 1. Thunderlord 26. Traveler's Chosen 35. And Redacted 20. Redacted? Redacted means there's something coming. And it's getting 29. Some examples of hand-tuned legendary weapon stats will be Frontier's Cry at 19. Deliverance at 9. Submission at 27. Silicone Aroma for the Tata 57. Or the Cantata. I just say Tata. At 12. The Messenger 20. Hung Jury SR4 at 22. I'm going to butcher this because I'm horrible pronouncing things sometimes and can't ever remember for the life of me. But the Ragnil D, 3, the Ignis Hammer, 23. Now, subclasses that are going to be getting some sort of benefit to this will be Warlocks with their Heat Rises ability. You will get a plus 70 while Heat Rises is active. That's good. I mean, that's what the ability is for. It's so you can get airborne, you can, Mary Poppins around with your umbrella, and you can shoot shit in the air. Super cool. To an extent. Those red levels, when you get that floating asset and the way out in nowhere, the sun glaring, you fall over dead, you're like someone's shooting through walls, you realize he's way out in the middle of nowhere, there's no way you could see him, and you're like, oh. Temperamental ability, plus 20 after getting a solar weapon kill. As, if I'm correct, that's a... I'm correct, isn't that a Titan ability? Do Titans need any more solar benefits right now? They've got that helmet that's just one shot in everyone right now. Maybe for future. Okay. The Whisper of Hedron's stasis fragment, plus 20 after freezing a target. Cool. So freeze a target, jump up in the air, get plus 20. We are still talking about airborne. Or do we go on flinching? We went on flinching. This is unflinching, right? There's so much. No, it's still on airborne. Still on airborne. There's just so much going on right here. It's easy to lose track of what section we're properly on. So in this case, plus 20 on freezing the target. So if you see, a hunter with stompies on, he freezes someone, he gets, a bunch of his, airborne, stuff back because of the stompy penalization. Now, exotic armor. Armor that revolves around being airborne and works on specific weapons grants bonus penalty in the minus 40 to plus 40 range. Yes, minus 50. That is where from correct stompies are going to be. And then you got plus 40 range. Plus 40. Plus 40. Man, can I get plus 40 on stompies? Man, you did that, you would see every hunter in PvP never on the ground. We'd be ping-ponging all over the place. Alright, so we got Foe Tracer. Foe Tracer. Plus 20 to all. Mechanical Trick Sleeves. Plus 50 to sidearms. That's going to be nasty. You're going to potentially see more sidearming hunters. Oathkeepers. Plus 40 to bows. Well, naturally, bows. We got to Legolas that thing around. We got to ping-pong, 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 ping-pong. Sealed Akamar Grass. Plus 50 to all for 5 seconds after melee hit. That, for hunters, is going to be you came in, you shotgun meleeed, and you jump in a situation where there's a bunch of people, and you're getting that extra airborne, grace, as I'm going to put it, and you're going to now, effectively start killing better in air than you would if you didn't have it on. Lucky Pants. Lucky Pants. I love me some Lucky Pants. So, plus 20 to hand cannons after readying a hand cannon. So, swap hand cannon. Now, I do a double hand cannon build. I wonder if this will apply to both. So, no matter what, if I keep swapping weapons, I get plus 20, which will probably get nerfed, and there will probably be a cooldown put into it, because if a hunter can sit there and constantly swap between two hand cannons, getting a plus 20 after readying a hand cannon, this is going to be Radiant Stance Machines all over again, and it's going to be nuked into oblivion for that one. Stompies, like I was saying before, negative 50 to all. Anytime a hunter with Stompies come Season 17 is in the air, they will be penalized minus 50. So, if you see a hunter in air and you're having a gun battle, you have better chances than odds. No backup plans, plus 30 to shotguns. I got it. That's what it's for. No backup plans is for the shotgunning Titan. Now, with that being said, this comes out, no backup plans will probably get seen a lot more, especially in PvP, I believe. You get a plus 30 to shotguns. So you're going to see those CQCs, those Fellwinters, those slugs, anything from the Titans, so they can get up in the air, they get up, less negatively affected to their shotguns, so they're going to be, whomping a bit more. Plus, I can't remember off the top of my head what no backup plans does with shotguns, but I know it does something good. Actium War Rig, plus 30 to auto rifles and machine guns. You don't say. I'm going to love to see that guy with Sweet Business who is like sitting there jumping with it. That's going to be hilarious. Hollow Fire Heart, plus 20 to all. Line Ramparts, plus 50 to hip fire only. That's interesting, to hip fire only. So that means you're going to potentially see... You're going to see a lot of potential Titans eventually jumping around with Last Word. You got it. Last Word. Peacekeepers, plus 40 to submachine guns. Peregrine Greaves, plus 20 to all. Now, Peregrine Greaves, if you don't know, is what gives Titans the ability to one-tap shoulder charge in air. If you see a Titan shoulder charging, and right before he gets to you, he does a little bunny hop, that's what he's doing. He is being one of those shoulder charging assets, which I love to death. Top Tree, Sentinel, Titan was my jam on a Titan. Why? Because that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to go around shoulder charging fools. It's fun, and I didn't have to think. I Have Another World, plus 15 to all. Astrocyte Verse, plus 30 to all. Fading Aspects, plus 10 to all. My boy Tenno's gonna like that one because I believe he likes to play with that because it helps his readying speed with his weapons. But now, when he's floating around like Mary Poppins, he'll also get a plus 10 to his airborne stat. Necrotic Grips, plus 30 to Weapons of Sorrow. Weapons of Sorrow. If I'm correct, there are 2 Weapons of Sorrow. 2. I could be wrong, but the 2 are Thor. And what is that new SMG that recently came out? Does anyone remember off the top of their head? I'm gonna have to look this up. It's that new exotic SMG. Osteostriga. That's right, Osteostriga. I had to look it up real quick. I'm horrible with names again, I apologize. So the Osteostriga and Thorn will probably get a plus 30 to Weapons of Sorrow. So we might see, you know, more Thorn usage in the Crucible, and probably not so much Osteostriga because it's a fun weapon to use, but as we all know, not a PvP choice in my opinion. Wings of Sacred Dawn, naturally. The plus 50 to all. Now, pairing that up with Heat Rises, I think Heat Rises also gave him like a plus 30. So if you have a Weak Range Secret Dawn and a Warlock float in the air, I think they're going to be getting like a plus 70, plus like 80 just off that combo alone, floating in the air. That's scary. Boots of the Assembler, plus 30 to Lumina. Okay, yeah, plus 30 to Lumina. Yeah, that just makes sense. I mean, come on. Balls all over the place. Boots of the Assembler already doing it. Give it to Lumina. Give it to the Warlocks. Okay, cool. By the way, Lumina, really good with Lucky Pants. Redacted. All right, based off this list, just looking at how it's laid out, there tends to be a bit of a pattern. People tend to be a little bit lazy when they do this type of stuff. So if you look here, you have got Hunter changes. If you look here, you have got Titan changes. You go here, you got Warlock changes. Now, like I said, people tend to be lazy. So, this right here, Redacted, plus 30 to fusion rifles and infusion rifles. I am guessing that when this list was originally summed together, it was in Hunter, Titan, Warlock. Before they released it, they put Redacted in, and we are looking at potentially a Warlock exotic that'll give plus 30 to fusion rifles and linear fusion rifles. That is very interesting while airborne. So that means you might eventually see a main ingredient, or in most cases, the Zur ingredients, because my main ingredients from the Menagerie, I farmed for it. I go back to, Arantel 1.0 days, Plan C back in D1. In this case, we've got Redacted. So, Warlocks, congratulations. It looks like you're getting something that'll benefit fusion rifles. So, this means that in general, if you want to be good, airborne effectiveness, say a 70 stat, you should pick a weapon with a high stat, put on Icarus Grip, and either put on an exotic armor piece that helps, or run a subclass aspect, fragment, or ability. And if you want the best possible airborne effectiveness, you generally have to go all in on a weapon. Weapon commitment. Weapon commitment. Think of those guys who they get 30 plus kills in the Crucible, but all they have is main ingredient. They're stacking on the scavs. That's their jam. So pretty much what they're looking at is if you want to do an airborne type build, you're gonna be focusing on one weapon for your airborne, which is fine. In my case, that will probably be a hand cannon, or that will be a slug shotgun. Right now, I'm on an special kick, so it might not be either. So, some examples I give here are pretty interesting. We got Frontier's Cry with precision hand cannon bonus. Yes, precision hand cannons get a bonus while in air. They always have. That's why a few of my mates that I talk to, I'm like, hey, that's a precision hand cannon. You have Icarus Grip on it. Why? You could just put TA on it. And, be in the same ballpark. Icarus Grip and Lucky Pants. So in this case, we get if I'm correct, we get the 19. Let's see if I can do this right. Get the 19 from the Frontier's Cry. We get 25 for Icarus Grip. 15, I'm guessing, for something else? Oh, no. Frontier's Cry, Precision Weapon, Icarus Grip, Lucky Pants Swap will give you a 79 airborne effectiveness. That means the Hunter has the Frontier's Cry. They jump up in the air. They swap to it, triggering all of the numbers for a 79. And the next example, we got Submission, Icarus Grip, Stompies, and Temperamental. Stompies again, negative 50. So in this case, we got Submission. as a 27. We put the Icarus grip on there, right? So it looks like we were correct. Icarus grip will give you the plus 15, as we see here and here. And then we got the negative 50. The negative 50, in this case, is for Stompies. You are now being penalized while being in air for Stompies alone. Now, plus 20 with Tempo Metal active will give you a 12 airborne effectiveness. Take off Stompies right there, and you'll go from a 12 to a 62 airborne effectiveness. So sinking into you like Warlocks and Titans, they are bringing Hunters out of the sky from the looks of it. Effectively out of the sky. We can still bing bong around, but we're not going to be as effective. Now, we're going to move on. We're going to move on because they've got a lot of examples, a lot more information. As you notice, we're only like about a third through this bitch. All right, so now we're going to go into what they look like as the exotic item usage per character. In this case, we'll bring this up a little bit bigger. We're going on Hunters. We got the Stompies, right? Some of these are kind of hard to line up, but we got a huge percentage of Stompies. The issue with Hunters, we got on Stompies. It changes our movement speed. We get so used to it, it's hard to go back. Right now, I'm using Young Ankh Spine. Stompies is something I usually use, and it's hard to go back and forth. I usually only use Stompies now when I'm in the raid, and it still throws me off even jumping with Stompies for a minute. Once I get used to them, it's bad with going back to my other builds that I like. And notice how almost nothing else is used. Let's look at no exotic armor. So the biggest one is Stompies from the looks of it, followed by no exotic armor. Then Knucklehead Radar. And then... No, would that be no... Is that no exotic? This is quite interesting to read. The color deviations are weird, and it looks like they're kind of cut off a couple different ones. So we can't tell quite what this one is. We can't guarantee this one. The second one, yep, we can't quite tell. Gemini Gestures is actually quite low in the grand scheme of things. Let's moving on to the Titans. And Titans tend to be extremely interestingly more spread out from the looks of it within their exotics because, well, Titans have a lot of interesting exotic builds and a lot of different options depending on what's going on. In this case, it looks like we have ADOS feedback fence. I'm kind of curious on how they're breaking that out because I don't think they've ever fixed Dune Marchers yet. So when you kill within the Crucible, it still says Dune Marchers. If it's doing that, it might be putting into their algorithm that, people died from feedback fence and not Dune Marchers. We got Dune Marchers here and feedback fence. Oh, it looks like they probably either put them in the same field. Oh, no. These is probably Dune Marchers and this is probably feedback fence. That would make more sense. Going down, we got, Mask of the Quiet One, and between these two and L'Oreal Splendors. I'm going to go with this is probably L'Oreal because it's the new hotness. And then maybe this one is the Mask of the Quiet One. Cross between Heart of Inmost Light. Kind of hard to break up. I like kind of the ones where they actually really denoted what is going where. Now Warlocks. My boy Tenno, my Boo Bear, was talking to me about this one, breaking out. It's kind of a pain, but if you look right here, I like how they labeled this part Asphydian Aspects. Is the biggest part. And then we got potentially controversial hold between one of these two or these ones and or Phoenix Protocol. I'm gonna say that the bigger one I would assess would be controversial hold, and then Phoenix Protocol would probably be the other two big ones outside of Asphydian Aspects. Don't quote me. I wish they drew lines or put terminologies in there or separated the colors just a little bit more. Okay. I think we're out of that portion for right now and going into playlist weapons. So in playlist weapons, the latest playlist weapons drop from Gambit, Crucible, and Strike completions. Older weapons are available from vendor rank packages and can be focused. And these weapons are intended to provide interesting drops even for players who spend a lot of time in an activity. And while we want to keep a large perk pool, they want to keep large perk pools to address the goal, we want to provide a way to reduce the duration of the chase for players who want a specific weapon. Also, since older playlist weapons are still available as vendor rank up rewards, we want them to feel more reliance in a post-original trait world. Playlist weapons now have a chance to roll with extra traits in one or both columns, increasing with the number of rank resets with the vendor during the season. Playlist weapons now have a chance to roll with extra traits in one or both columns, increasing with the number of rank resets in any given season. So it looks like the more you do a playset, Strikes, Crucible, Gambit, the more you do it, the higher rank you get, the more chances you have of getting those additional perk combos, having multiple perks in row, like what, 3 and 4? Reputation resets each season, so you'll need to play these activities each season to unlock their potential extra perks. Extra perks are nice, gives you an extra chance of getting your god roll, in my opinion, and then gives you a weapon with more variance. Instead of having, say, like 2 Isalunas with different rolls, you can now have one that have the same roll combinations and can play between the two. I've got a really nice Fatebringer that has the original Fatebringer traits, but then has like Tunnel Vision Kill Clip on it. And playing around with, Firefly and Explosive Payload with Kill Clip and Tunnel Clip, or Tunnel Vision, is a very interesting way to modify the weapon and play around with it without having to constantly swap between two. All playlist weapons from Beyond Light and later will drop with the appropriate origin trait. So next season, our older weapons will drop with origin traits. That's cool. However, can we just grandfather them? Because I don't want to have to re-go for, like, my Dire Promise again, or any other weapon that I have just for an origin trait. Moving on. Stats display update. Following the recent changes to show numbers for all stats instead of just bars, we opted to change the stats display on weapons to clearly reflect the capabilities. All weapons stat bars now range 0 to 100 instead of being limited to some range in the middle of the bar. Yeah, like looking at it and going, what is this? I mean, there's just a couple little tips and tricks you can do to look at it and be like, oh, there's this, there's that. But really looking into like what the number of the bar is for potentially a weapon sometimes would be nice. This change also eliminates rounding and other errors, particularly on adept weapons, masterwork, and enhanced traits, and better conveys the bounds of a weapon stat can exist within. This is purely a display change, and no weapon behavior has changed, but you should expect all existences of the stat bar to look slightly different. I like being able to see things better. Okay, moving on to one-hit kills and special ammo. There are several damage buffs external to weapons that allow weapons to one-hit kill without much investment, such as aggressive snipers with high impact reserves, Aaron's Vow, Luminarch, especially when combined with an external 20% damage buff. For example, Empowering Rift can give mini snap rifles a one-hit body shot capability in the Crucible. Yes, we need to remove this. Because nothing better than, an Empowering Rift, going around the corner, getting shot in, the toe. And I'm back to playing Call of Duty with the AWP sniper rifle over again. Okay, so most of these use the same buff under the hood, so we've adjusted them all at once. With these changes, it is going to be much rarer to get that easy one-hit kill with a weapon that wouldn't typically allow it. So there will be reducing the damage bonus for Empowering Rift, High Energy Fire, and Inertia Override from 20% to 15%. Holy shit. They are overall, across the board, reducing the damage bonus from Empowering Rift, High Energy Fire, and Inertia Override 5%. In addition, we want special ammo to be less plentiful, making it more difficult to chain special weapon kills. So, there will be disabling ammo scavenger armor mods in PvP. So no matter how much ammo a player was carrying on death, if you pick up a special brick, you could only get one. So if I'm like hoarding like 15 shots in my philo and I die, that person's only getting one. Retune several special weapon archetypes and exotic weapons, with the general goal of reducing the effectiveness and uptime of special weapons. So archetypes. Special weapons, in particular shotguns and fusions, are responsible for more than one hit kills that we'd like in PvP. We still want them to be an option, but less ambiguous, less effective at multiple ranges, and with lower uptime. Pretty much, they want everyone who runs around with a shotgun or a fusion rifle only to be bonked in the head and be like, hey, dude, there are other weapons. If anyone noticed in my recent stream, or anyone who ever plays with me recently, it's like, oh, what'd you die from? Peace of mind. What'd you die from? Main ingredient. What'd you die from? Peace of mind. What'd you die from? You know, shotgun. 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 Fusion. Shotgun. Fusion. Shotgun. Fusion. Shotgun. Fusion. Shotgun. And that's what builds my current build right now. I don't provide special ammo, so I don't giveth. Let's see. Looking at this graph, you see an interesting tune of things. So you get the same amount of sniper rifle play. Looks like between Witch Queen and today, well, pre-Witch Queen and today, sniper rifles stayed the same, shotguns stayed the same, then your fusion rifles went down. That is probably because they took Lorentz Driver and kind of neutered it a bit. Grenade launchers, looks like they remained about the same. Looks like we got, like, you know, Dead Messenger probably, and the grenade launcher Glaives. Huge uptick, and just kind of petered out because Glaives. Enough said. Fusion rifles didn't change, and they were supposed to be like brought down a bit. Still didn't change. Okay, special weapons. All special weapons have their inaccuracy significantly reduced. While we're okay with encouraging players to build into using their primaries more effectively in the air, we do not believe the prevalence of airborne one-hit kill options is good in PvP. You don't say. Being able to quickly whip a nene in air around a corner and one-tap a guy while hit-firing, it shouldn't be a thing. There's almost no skill in that. You're barely getting target recognition. If, you know, friendly fire was on, you probably could have killed your own teammate. One of the ones that, you know, people, especially in Destiny, really like get kind of nerved at. It's like, in real life, that would never have happened. This isn't real life, dude. This is a game, and this is, you know, futuristic and XYZ. No, I got that. It's a game. So what you're saying is you want to play Texas Hold'em without money. All right, I'm out. I'm actually gonna go to a casino and play for money because that's actually where the fun is. All right, let's see. Special weapons have a slightly larger airborne accuracy penalty than primary weapons at 0 airborne effective stats, reduced to 0 at 100 stat. Interesting. So to have 100 stats, you would then be, you know, at 0 penalty. That's a lot. You are geared specifically for doing that one thing. And with ammo consumption being down, you are going to have to be a reloading nuts. It's probably not good. Chaining special is probably no longer going to be a thing. Special weapons have similar airborne aim assist cone penalty to other weapons, around 50% at 0 stat. And this penalty can be reduced, but not entirely removed, by investing in airborne effectiveness. So, special weapons will never have their airborne accuracy removed. Just, you know, reduced. Sniper rifles are fairly slow to ready, stow, and aim at sights. This has made snapshot feel mandatory for many players. Yes. I am one of those, coming from, at one point, a sniper background. If it didn't have snapshot on it, it was a trash sniper rifle. I don't care what was on it else. It could be the god tier my snapshot. Probably wasn't going to use it. Not unless we put that one perk on it. I can't remember what it's called. But, you know, you don't want it just for that one perk. Reducing stow, ready, and aim down sights by 10%. So sniper rifles are becoming clunkier, ladies and gentlemen. All snipers are now snappier. That's a matter. There's a matching change to snapshot below. Sniper rifles have less access to ammo than shotguns and fusion rifles. That is entirely true. You snap someone across the map, you're just not going to go pick it up and then, go shotgun fusion rifle somewhere else. You actually have to truck it, usually on average 30 plus meters. Not unless you quickscope someone, I like shotgun range and picked it up immediately. Sniper rifles have less access. Yep, just read that. Alright, let's see. Weapon perks percentage by times of the week. Shot package, which means as things are progressing, Fellwinter's is dying. Rapid frame, shotguns, those are a thing. Anyways, precision frames and pinpoint slugs. If I'm correct, those got separated when the 30th anniversary came around. Otherwise, there were precision frames were a couple pellets and a couple slugs. Now, if I'm correct, they recently did something and separated the two. Pinpoint slugs been the same. Precision slugs have been the same. Looks like there's been an uptick potentially in lightweight frames and an uptick in aggressive frames. See, slug and pellet shotguns are still overwhelmingly popular in PvP despite some recent changes, so we've touched them again with the goal of encouraging some diversity and special weapon choice. One thing I want to put out there with the change in special weapon choice is there's enough of a change that you noticed a lot of people going from an aggressive playstyle to an extremely passive, because they took away a lot of ability use for a while. So you saw a lot of people hiding behind shields with rifts and modifying peak shooting and creating new angles and really kind of slowing things up. They're really taking that action pace out of the Crucible and turning it into a hide, peek, get a kill, guard an orb, say in Trials, or play off the orb, push up, rally barricades, We are still seeing a lot more push, but that is coming at the cost of, say, likely suspect. Likely suspect is a fusion rifle that is a rapid frame that charges way too fast for the distance it gets and the potency of it. Rapid frame, in my mind, should usually cover no more than like 10, tops 15 meters on a lucky shot. So let's see, continuing on. So they're going to be reducing damage fall off start and end by 1 meter. So they're bringing in the range even more on shotties. And they're reducing aim assist and magnetism fall off start and end by 2 meters. So your aim assist is effectively window is now dropping even more. Magnetism as well. Has anyone played around with magnetism and say scrims and stuff like that? You've noticed that, hey, I've got my reticle of my weapon. It's got the 2 access points in the top middle. If I have a head like right over here, it's still hitting the headshot. Why? Because of bullet magnetism. That's also why you get shotguns sniped, shot from around the wall, and you literally see the bullet marks through the wall because it registered as the shot due to bullet magnetism, but the trajectory of the bullet actually hit through the wall. Fusion rifle usage is trending pretty high, you don't say. Particularly in Trials, and bringing shotguns down a little bit more would make them too good of an option. We're already there. So we've made a goal change. With these changes, 20 plus meter fusion rifle, 1-hit kills should be very uncommon. Yes, that should be. Aerotel 1.0 days, back before they really did crazy stuff to fusion rifles, was fusion rifles back in the day had unlimited range. If you can control the stability, you could 60 meter, if I'm correct, kill someone with a fusion rifle. Yes, 60 meters. If you can control the bolt and get enough damage on target. I've done it. Alter the Flame. I had some really, really nasty long Aerotel 1.0 shots that just made me giggle my ass off. So with this, they'll be reducing damage fall off on near distance. Reduce damage fall off near distance. 2 meters at 0 range. 1.3 meters at 100 range. So we're bringing them in for fall off. Damage, reduce damage fall off far distance. 1 meter at 0 range. 1.3 at 100 range. Reduce recoil scalar variance between 0 and 100 stability. 0, unchanged, naturally. 100 increased from 0.5 to 0.550, increasing the recoil penalty slightly. Oof. So looking at this as we go on, we've got a lot of Xur ingredient, Corzin coordinate. One thing I find interesting here is Zealot's reward. Zealot's reward, if anyone's gone against someone who's got a Zealot reward rapid frame, there's one thing you always got to notice. It's a main ingredient, or a glacial chasm almost, that kills at ridiculous ranges with having a less than 500 millisecond charge time. It's nasty. But as we see the Witch Queen comes around, we see a drop off on Corzin. We see a drop off on Zealot reward. It's still there. That thing is still dirty. A lot of people potentially don't have it because they don't have the roll. Because people don't want to do it if credit comes out of Last Wish. No? No. Garden Salvation. Garden Salvation or Last Wish? I can't remember. But we got a couple more. Likely Suspect, and main ingredients are taking the cake here. We got the Consistent Range Master, and then we got the I have mastered the Rapid Frame Range Master. Now, as the raid came around, Deliverance is pretty consistent. I want to chalk Deliverance in with main ingredient. However, Deliverance has a bit of a weird feel to it that I don't think people fully like, and they choose main ingredient, or it could be a weapon combination. No Composure's gone down naturally. Not too sure what this little couple are. Plug 1 is still there, but you see it's starting to beef up again. People are coming back and noticing that Plug 1 is still a viable option as it was before Witch Queen occurred. It's ramping back up. We had different options. People are going back to it. Doesn't look like much changed. Snorri looked like it launched and has been pretty consistent as well. See a little past information looks of it. When we rebuilt fusion rifles in season 15, they wanted to differentiate the subfamilies dramatically from each other, which worked. Did it? Rapid frame? Question mark. With these changes, fusion rifles subfamilies still feel very different from each other, but higher impacts are stronger, and rapid fires and precision should be a little less dominant. Should be a little. I got a feeling that some information I don't know. See, high impact, reduced unmodified impact charge from 1 to 0.96, increasing damage burst by 10. So it looks like they're bringing high impacts back into the fold a little bit, bringing them back down to where they were, but not entirely. So your glacial chasm, people, you have it. You're going to be ramped back down. It's gonna charge us slightly faster. Precisions, increased unmodified charge time from 740 to 780. This is, if I'm correct, your plug 1s and your main ingredients. These are going to be bumped up in charge time. Okay, got it. These things, fire a little too quick for the range they are. They should be probably bumped up a little bit higher. I wouldn't mind seeing this at a 9 sometimes, depending on what the roll is on it. Rapid fire, increased unmodified charge time from 0.46 to 0.5. So they're bumping up rapid fire frames, making it longer to charge. Decrease damage per burst by 20. So they're effectively nerfing rapid fires a little bit. High impacts will do 330 damage if you hit every bolt. Precision 280 every bolt. Adaptive 270 for every bolt. And rapid fires will go down to 245. Also, besides Divinity, trace rifles aren't as popular in hard content as they'd want them to be. So we remember when Prometheus Lens came out? Whew, trace rifles were king. Even got an emblem for that one. They're also more affected by disabling scavenger armor mods than other special weapons. With this change, there'll be better use of special ammo against non-red bar targets. We'll be increasing trace rifle damage against non-red bar combatants by 20% and increased ammo pickup per special ammo brick by about 18 to 20. Auto rifles and pulse rifles. Now, these aren't as compatible as they'd like at mid-range, and lightweight pulse rifles are too hard to use to hit their optimal time to kill. Auto rifles and pulse rifles aren't as competitive as they'd like mid-range. I want to know what their mid-range is. Because Summoner, Peace of Minds, what is that other one? So you can tell I don't pulse rifle very often, and Messenger is one of them. Now let's see, what's that one exotic? No Time to Explain. Those are a couple weapons that are really good at almost every range. So I'm kind of interested to see how they come up if they don't feel like using competitive as they'd like for mid range. Now we're talking PvE or PvP. Lightweight pulse rifles are too hard to kill. I don't pulse rifle. I haven't used pulse rifles too much. I do like the general perk of lightweights, but I feel like they need to make sure that they have a lightweight archetype all around for every weapon instead of just various now. Again, hand cannon main, and they took away our lightweight hand cannons. So with these changes, they expect auto rifles and pulse rifles to better compete with hand cannons in mid-long range and outrange standard zoom submachine guns. Alright, so I think the mid-range they're talking about 20 to 30 meters. Because once you get outside about 30-35 meters, hand cannons, they hit their damage their fall off, and they're not effective. So if they're comparing auto rifles and pulse rifles and the range caliber of hand cannons, then they're talking probably 15 to 25 meters. Especially when they're talking about, hey, so they're comparing auto rifles and pulse rifles to submachine guns as well. So we're talking about a very close window. Now, in the event you're using those types of guns, I feel like pulse rifles shouldn't be in the mid-range perk. Those should be more towards the end of mid-range and long range. And auto rifles should be at the mid-range comparison. Auto rifles increase damage fall off near distance by 0.75. Pulse rifles will increase the damage fall off near distance based on the range stat. Zero range. So they'll be increased from 15 to 16 meters. 100 range increased from 22.5 to 24 meters. That's interesting. Does the pulse rifle really only have like 24 meter range? Interesting. Now that is the hip fire distance and is multiplied by the zoom value to get the aim down sight fallout distance. Okay, this comes back to the multiplier by zoom to get the aim down sights fall off distance. I brought that up earlier when they were talking about the range. I was talking about the rangefinder stat and how like higher zoom will get affected. I'm thinking of this as almost being the same situation that is, rangefinder will have the same modifier as a higher zoom weapon. So it's going to potentially benefit you, but negatively benefit you. It's going to be a trade-off. Damage fall off, distance remains at 40 meters regardless of the range stats. Okay, so pulse rifles, damage fall off will always be 40 meters regardless. Okay, so they're putting in a hard wall on how far, say, a pulse rifle can go. I've always thought that should be a thing. There should be min-max differences to different weapons, so you can play within that, and it affects you based off of your play style, where the opponent is. So you can still use your weapon set that you really like and figure out, okay, this guy's using this, I gotta swap my gameplay instead of swapping weapons. I do believe in changing up weapons, learning how weapons play, learning how other people use their weapons, like other people have brought up, and it's kind of throughout the community to try different things. However, I personally have been using the same weapons for so long because those are the weapons I like to use, and I have tried other weapons. I'm past the trying. I will try newer ones as they come by, and usually they still fall in the same boat, and I still like my hand cannons. Yes, I am a hunter main and hand cannon main primarily. My other weapons might change up from shotguns, snipers, sidearms, fusions, but usually I typically always have a hand cannon paired with me. They'll be increasing the lightweight, which is 450 RPM pulse rifle damage per bullet, from 15 to 16, with a 1.65 precision scaler that will increase precision damage from 24.75 to 26.4. This doesn't change the optimal time to kill in PvP, but will reduce the number of crits required. Welcome in, Fire Guy. Welcome in. Not too much, not too much. Just going over the TWAB right now. There's a lot of information, so I've been incorporating what it says, what I think it says, what I think it's translating to. Yeah. And I believe we're about halfway. Yeah, we're only halfway through the TWAB right now. And we have been rolling on this for about an hour and 29 minutes so far. So we'll keep going. Zoom is also too important a factor in submachine guns. Submachine guns with low zoom don't feel competitive in PvP. We've reduced the variance in zoom, brought the base up from 13 to 14, and extended the damage fall off distance. They extended the damage fall off distance. We're going to see a lot of people now when that happens with Shura's Wrath or other various ones that we see being able to get that little extra range now. With this change, Shovel Standard Zoom machine guns will be more competitive, but this doesn't make an accessible submachine gun with the highest perk trait RNG, multi-mock, compete less with auto rifles, and it will no longer straight up outclass every other submachine gun in PvP. Holy shit. So, looks like their idea is to be like, oh, if you're submachine gunning, you're using Shura's Wrath or multi-mock. Those are usually, my understanding, the two biggest ones. And you see TWAB up there as well. With that said, is it looks like they're trying to balance the submachine guns entirely. So if you want to use submachine gun, you have a wider range of which ones you actually want to use with different perk rolls in PvP. So they'll be increasing the damage fall off by 1.5 meters. Adjust zoom values on most viable legend submachine guns and one exotic. Go away. Kid Bomber. Let's see. Increase damage fall off by 1.5 meters. Adjust zoom values on most viable legend submachine guns and one exotic. So Shura's Wrath will go from 17 to 16. So they're going to bring the range in on Shura's Wrath from the looks of it just a little bit. Multi-mac with max scope zoom of 17 to 15. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that off my head because, again, I'm bad with names and pronouncing stuff sometimes. So the scholastic variable will go from 13 to 14. Ikilos with 13 to 14. 7th Seraph, 13 to 14. Every Waking Moment, 13 to 14. And the Huckleberry, 13 to 15. Whew. A lot of information to put out. Let's see. They also like adaptive submachine guns and are starting to make them again. And in the current form, they kill a little too fast with body shots. Okay, if you're killing too fast with body shots, you get those individuals who use their varying fun devices to give them the edge. And now they're just, got that 95% headshot accuracy with a submachine gun because they have no recoil. And they're going to kill you faster. So reduce body damage to increase their body shot time to kill by one bullet. You want to tell me how fast an adaptive submachine gun actually fires off top? Let's see. Where is that? Submachine guns. Adaptive frame. Adaptive frame 900s? You can get an adaptive frame as a 900? That's an aggressive frame. It's a lightweight. That's precision. Aggressive frame. 750. 750 rounds per minute. Basic math on that for one more extra bullet. Ooh, yeah. I don't think anyone's got to notice. All right, precision frame hand cannons. Always been good while airborne. I brought this up earlier. Effectively having built-in Icarus grip, and with the changes to airborne functionality, airborne functionality, we wanted to preserve that feel when translating their advantages to the new system. So, introducing switch from 75% airborne accuracy penalty reduced to a plus 25. So, precision frames will still get their buff, but it will be knocked down by about, 70%, i.e. a 50 stat change. Alright, so next we're going into heavy weapons. And on that, I'm going to get some water and we're going to take a quick break. All right. Welcome back. Quick. Got my water. Yeah. All right. With that being said, heavy weapons. Machine guns still aren't where they wanted to be in PvE, so we're giving them an additional buff, but less so against bosses. So they don't want us to be like, everyone, bring out your Xenophage. No. It's not going to be a Xenophage boss fight anymore. They want the ability to use machine guns in everyday cases, where their extremely long range and deep ammo reserves will make them strong in too many rolls. With this change, they'll shed most enemies without stepping on their on top of top tier boss damage options, increasing damage by 40% against PvE enemies, 20% versus bosses. Xenophage and Grav Overture receive this buff, except for the bonus versus bosses. So they'll be a good option against, I'm guessing, your overloads, your unstoppables, your yellow bars, your red bars, everything besides that boss. Sword stats have been inconsistent for a while now, so we've tied all of those up, mostly cosmetic. Fix several inconsistencies in the stats display between different swords. This has no gameplay impact, and increases the charge rate of Solar Scar from 20 to 50 to match Temptation Hook. So, brings back in line with the the swords that bam. Rocket launcher subfamilies weren't different enough by previously changed, so we made them the difference between them more extreme. With this change, we're expected to be more marked trade-off for the intrinsic tracking on precisions and great benefit from other subfamilies, specifically related to baseline high-impact rockets would be an example. So precisions will get minus 10% damage, both impact and detonation. High impact, no change naturally, and adaptive and aggressive will get plus 10 damage. I find that interesting. High impact, I think, should have the bigger buff, or adaptive and or aggressive should have maybe no change. That's you know, what I think at least. See, now exotics. All exotics that shipped before stake and release now have their kill trackers visible by default. Fighting Line needed a bit more of a buff. Brought this up earlier about Fighting Line. So we've improved its reload speed within the herd is active, and a couple of releases back, and now we're increasing the blast radius and damage. With this change, it should be rather easier to get damage you need to trigger this perk. They reverted Season 15 Breach Grenade Launcher's blast radius reduction, but just for Fighting Lion, and increased the damage by 5%. Eyes of Tamara as a raid exotic ought to be better against tougher PvE enemies. Yes. Cool rocket launcher. Barely use it really in any situations, besides to really giggle in PvP. The change, it's a solid option, particularly with Adaptive Ordnance perk active. Increased damage versus bosses and champions by 30%. That's where it should be. I mean, you should be doing more damage and have the ability to, you know, use your rockets, especially your exotics. An exotic rocket launcher shouldn't be trumped, you know, potentially in a boss or damage encounter by, say, like a legendary weapon. Leviathan's Breast always felt like it should be should absolutely wreck champions, and using it, its first shot to stun an unstoppable champion without it doing much damage felt really bad. Yeah, I've used Leviathan Breast a handful of times, and I'm like, why am I using this thing? Like, why am I using this as an exotic when I could just use any other bow and have an exotic somewhere else? Good, they're bringing it back up. The Archer's Tempo perk from the Callus now has increased in fact, so you should be able to fire faster. You should really be getting those bolts out like Legolas. The standard drop time scaler for Archer's Tempo is 0.75. It is now 0.5625x on Leviathan's Breath, so it goes faster. Added a small delay before detonation of champions, minute bosses, and bosses. This allows Impact to stun the installed champion and detonate to deal damage against the stun champion. So it's going to, you know, hit him and then do damage, which is cool. It's not going to be all like one big blow kind of effect. Damage changed to be one of an even split between impact and detonation, and increased damage across the board by approximately 50%. Approximately 50%. How do you say approximately 50% when you're giving me these crazy numbers like 0.5625 times? Just you know, pick one of the other, please. You know, give me crazy numbers, or just say approximate. I dig the approximate. Just makes it easier to say anyways. So overall damage versus champions is going to be roughly doubled. Cool. The Huckleberry had an underwhelming engagement range. Yeah, Huckleberry always seemed like you had to be pretty freaking close to really use. But it's fun. Updated zoom based on the change to baseline submachine gun zoom. Increased zoom stat from 13 to 15. Interesting. So back before there was a range stat with flinch. I wonder if that's going to apply to it as well. Our experiment with pushing Xenovage into a harder hitting but slower firing didn't pan out. So we're increasing the rate of fire and adjusting the damage back to the way it was. Yeah, Bungie. 3.14, yeah, pi. In that case, just give us pi. Just give me the symbol for pi. I'll get it. So it looks like they're pretty much going to be bringing Xenophage back to where it was. Doesn't benefit from the Season 17 machine gun damage buff versus bosses. Doesn't benefit from the Season 17. Hold on a second. Yeah, we're in Season 16, so they gave us a little bit of a slip-up right there. So Season 17 is going to have a machine gun damage buff versus bosses. So it looks like we're going to, you know, have our Xenophage to work against champions with an extra buff, but it's not going to give us that buff during, say, Ralk, or Caretaker. But all his other little minions, or anything else that's outside the boss community, we are going to get a machine gun damage buff. Very interesting, very interesting. Where's my Thunderlord? Really add clear. Luminar is too oppressive when combined with external damage buffs, but we felt it could be stronger in PvE. He just came out with a Catalyst. I thought it was pretty strong. I think during like one of the Heroic Wellsprings, I soloed one side. I think it was defense in the second portion. I soloed like one side with Luminar and the Catalyst through the Void, and I thought that was pretty strong. With this change combined with the damage buff change above, we've introduced a 60 resilience gates on killing a Guardian in PvP with a crit in an Empowering Rift or similar. A 60 resilience gates on killing a Guardian in PvP with a crit in an Empowering Rift or similar. 60. So what that says is it almost looks like you have to have less than. So they've dumbed down Empowering Rift from 20% to 15%. So with that, for Luminarch to one tap in an Empowering Rift, it can still be done from the looks of it, but it looks like the individual will have to actually be below 60 resilience to one tap with Luminarch in an Empowering Rift. Reduced poison tick damage versus players by 25%. Oh lord! All right, so the damage tick is now being reduced by 25%. This is quite good. It looks like Luminarch will almost never be able to one tap nowadays, which is good. This should definitely give you that. You got shot by someone who precisionally charged the shots, not kill you, but let you know that, hey, you're about to die if you don't evade the situation now. Change poison damage type from a burn to a poison. Change damage type from burn. It was a burn? That wasn't a poison? Interesting. Increased poison tick damage versus AI by 50%. Now I think that one's a good one. So the poison damage that gets dispersed between everyone else is now going to be up by 50%. So by players, it's going down 25%. Gets everything else plus 50%. Okay, got it. I like it. See, the Learner's Driver can be difficult to fight against in PvP, in part because it does a very high body shot. With this change, getting left super weak by a body shot should be less common, though we're keeping an eye on how this change lands and may revisit it later. Reduce body shot damage against a player by 20%. I wonder what that would be. Never really paid attention fully to how the numbers for Lorenz hits, but I would say if it's by 20% and you really feel it, I'd say the Lorenz driver for a body shot would probably be 150 to really get people to like really hit it and notice it. Now, if they're reducing it by 20. Let's see, that's 20, 30. It's probably going to do about 120 per body shot. It's probably going to do about around half of your shield health value, which is still going to get you worried. But, it's not going to, make it to where you got body shots, someone hit you with a sidearm, one shot, you're dead. Those types of scenarios. You're going to have a larger lead time to realize what happened and GTFO. Body damage reverts to old behavior when the weapon is damage mode. Body damage reverts to old behavior when in the weapon's damage mode. Interesting. Precision damage in the end of the mode is unchanged. Okay, so I'm thinking they're just saying, hey, we changed body shots, headshots, you're dead. Let's see, Skyburner's Oath, what's that? I felt like it didn't have a niche. Skyburner's Oath, what was that again? Except for airborne memes. So we've made a bunch of changes aiming to improve its easy use, giving it some more utility and really pushing it to the airborne role. Increased ADS projectile speed to 9,999. This projectile is now... Alright, so when you hit... It looks like when you shoot the thing, there's no lag. There's no delay. It's... You shoot it, it hits. Both ADS and hipfire are now 150 RPM. Therefore, you're no longer going to be firing faster or slower when you're aiming or not. Hipfire projectors no longer tracks. What? But arcs similar to grenade launcher and has a larger detonation size than ADSing. Huh. But it was fun just being a hipfire the bitch. The hipfire detonation also applies a burn to targets. Okay, that's cool. Add a little burn, a little extra damage. So this is potentially rumoredly going to Solo 3.0 next season, and this coming in kind of really starts like bringing that in. The bonus range from Masterwork has been rolled into the base stat of the weapon. Masterwork now grants bonus reload instead. Okay. So it's virtually a scout rifle. I don't really care too much usually about range on scout rifles because those are typically supposed to, be some of the longest ranging hitting things anyway. So that's been usually a stat that I don't care about. And it has the highest airborne effectiveness stat of any other weapon in the game. 35. That's funny. But I got a feeling there's going to be some very interesting, funny plays coming out with this. Okay, last word plays very different on mouse and keyboard than it does in the controller, but has disparately doesn't need to be that large of a change. We're keeping an eye on this one too. So it looks like on M&K for your PC users, they're changing the recoil penalty from 33% to 22%. So we'll probably see a lot more last word play on the PC community. Arbalist is more dominant than intended in harder PvE content. Really? You gave us a catalyst, and then on top of it, it's a what is it? What is that? Barrier? It's got a barrier mod on it, I believe, too. No, that's why we're using it. Let's see. Able to fill the anti-barrier roll as well as shield breaking and boss damage. We've made fairly small adjustments here, but we need to look at it in the future seasons. So pretty much they're reducing the damage versus champions by 25%. We'll break barriers in one hit. So if they're reducing the damage, you can still get the opposite effectiveness of breaking the barrier, getting the kinetic weapon debuff on the target. So you're just going to swap over and get the extra damage from your kinetic weapon anyways. So I don't really see anything too crazy with that. It's just going to keep you on probably using it less to just bash into the champion. Just going to go Arbalist. You're going to go Arbalist and hand cannon, Arbalist, hand cannon. So it's gonna create better special ammo conservation and awareness. Graviton Lance. Callus didn't drop Graviton Lance, the pulse rifle, pew pew, not the helmet. Callus didn't help the weapon enough, and we wanted to give it a bit of a boost. Now, I'm one of those people that looks at Graviton Lance and go, I like this gun. It's probably the only pulse rifle I really do like, because it's not a pulse rifle in my mind. It is a scout rifle. Yes, I know it fires 2 rounds, but since they did the change, if I'm correct, it just feels like it fires 1 bullet. It's the scout rifle in my mind. And they wanted to give it a bit of a boost. The change gives it some interesting utility in PvE and PvP, particularly with the buff to exotic primary weapons in the Witch Queen. Yes, made it stronger, and it was void. All the fun and sparklies. See, the Callus changed from granting hidden hand to granting Vorpal and Turnabout. Come on, but hand-to-hand was cool. It was like one of the only old school perks that I think that still really remains from D1 to D2. I could be entirely wrong. There could be a couple other ones, but one of the really sought after ones, hidden hand in D1, was the only weapon that had it. But granting Vorpal and Turnabout, that's interesting. That's going to be a very interesting super change for PvP. Yeah. Keep an eye out on that one. That might be potentially really nasty. About to be Grenader Jake on the mouse. All right. Grand Overture. Most recently, adjustments switched the missiles to fire in bursts of 5, which allows for more granularity in unloading that damage. But sometimes you just want them to fire and fly out at once. Oh, okay. So it looks like it's going to be like a burst pulsing mode for Grand Overture. So you can get your 20 stored, and you can either entirely burp the whole 20 rounds, or it's going to be like have a pulse mode, or let's see, reduce the time on bursts when in missile mode. Holding the trigger will now fire all missiles in a continuous burst. Tapping will fire 5. So, brr, 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 or oh jeez, everything died. Next, we got a Cold Heart change, arc damage type update, and Cold Heart's exotic trait, more or less being, is a trace rifle. No longer fits in a world with legendary trace rifles. The usage on sustained damage was pretty low. I haven't seen Cold Heart really since Leviathan days and really used it on those one raids. Sustained damage creates, or if you wanted to have like Star Wars battles in PvP, you know, Prometheus Lens, Cold Heart, Wave Splitter, Divinity. Oh, good job. So we got sustained damage that creates an ionic trace rifle, and collecting an ionic trace rifle grounds energy to fuel your abilities. Increase grace time before the damage ramp clears from 0.1 to 1.0 seconds. That's a 0.9 change, ladies and gentlemen. Prometheus Lens, oof. Still have PTSD from that guy. Solar damage type updated, and generally this needed some tweaks to be viable. Sustained damage applies a more useful burn to targets. Sustained damage. So sustained damage on Prometheus Lens, if I'm correct, they're talking about that bubble that comes out that, like, you know, AoE affects things around it. They're not careful about that. They're going to go back into Curse of Osiris when they debuted this gun, and that's all anyone ever used for about a week and a half in the Crucible outside of Crimson, because you would hit one target, it would spread, anyone around them, they would all just die. Wave Splitter, Void type update. The power cycling mechanic was interesting, but ultimately hard to capitalize on. What do I mean by that? Power level no longer cycles randomly. The default damage output is the same as the old middle tier. Interesting. Picking up Orb of Power now grants 10 seconds of maximum power and caps at 20 seconds, up from 5 and 10. Now suppresses targets while granted this mode by picking up an orb. Interesting. Looks like we might have some sort of interesting orb builds going on with Wave Splitter to allow it to start suppressing and doing damage ramps. That's going to be interesting. Copyright strike, no singing. Don't tell me how to live my life. Anyways. Thanks, Fire Guy. Thanks, Fire Guy. Okay, where were we? Osteostriga. We were talking about this earlier as far as the Warlock gloves and how their Weapons of Sorrow will be getting buffed with them for the airborne accuracy buff, debuff situation. I believe Warlock were getting a plus 30 while using this. The projectile somehow shift rotated by 90 degrees. Looks a bit weird. A corrected rotation on the projectile model. It looks like it's just based off of views and how the projectiles are traveling. Fair enough. Lord of Wolves is kind of a shotgun. Yes, kind of a shotgun. But it has its own custom tuning. It wasn't impacted by previous shotguns' change and was much too strong with shotguns and fusion rifles getting reduced range. This brings it into more lane, so they're pretty much reducing the damage fall off at an end by 25%, shrinking it back in. It looks like they're really trying to get people to not be as far away from stuff, especially in PvP. So you have to be a little bit closer in those more defensive situations. Also, if you know, with like the range, you start dealing with impact variables, what hits, what doesn't, damage fall off variables, and all that fun jazz, which is a bunch of interesting game math that I'm not getting into at the moment. All right, perks. We are currently only about 75% through this TWAB. Holy crap. I should have just like made a pre-recorded video like, you know, other streamers like Biff, for them
I just summed it up into like 5-10 minutes about what's going on. But I'd rather talk it out, get a little interaction, see where things lead. So perks, we got snapshot sights. Again, mandatory on sniper rifles, and they're changing it so a snapshot to feel about the same. But one without snapshot will feel a lot less snappier. Well, yeah, you can't just kill snapshot. However, it's not going to have such a dramatic change. Increase the ADS ammunition speed scaler from 0.5 to 0.75 for special ammo weapons. Primary ammo weapons are unchanged. So the ability to aim your weapon is going to slow down by a quarter of a second. When it looks at opening shot, has also felt mandatory on shotguns forever, and large part because it gives part of its buff as a damage fall off scaler. I wouldn't do that again. Anytime you increase range, it's a whole impact damage scaler that you get accustomed to and what you can actually do. You can see this a lot in my first and last out gameplay, where it's like this guy has I see his 40% life. I'm at this range. I can just body shot his ass. So kind of bringing the fall off in a little bit and all that stuff, really brings things back into a more close play model where I'm no longer going to be using my philo to body this guy at the range. I might just swap over to my hand cannon now to finish him off and clean it up. Especially since, though, if I kill him, I'm no longer getting 2+ special ammo. I'll only be getting the 1 no matter what. Okay. Let's see. Then we're removing the damage fall scaler. So it looks like if it hits a certain amount for the plus 10% on that shot, it's not going to do the scaler at all. So once it goes past that, you're going to actually be hitting into the original scaler, which is going to drop off dramatically at that point. Increased range stat bonus from plus 20 to plus 25. So they're going to be increasing the range of opening shot without the scaler. So you're going to get that little extra on that first shot. But once you hit the fall off, it's going to drastically hit really, really hard. There's going to be an aggressive downfall. Other stats from this perk are unchanged, plus 20 aim assist, 5% reduced accuracy cone angle, 10% reduced accuracy cone growth. Full choke has been a go-to magazine perk forever. That tends to be in the community the one that even I've advised to go to. However, I have gone away from it sometimes because I prefer other perks, as in things that can, really give me potentially more handling. If I can get more handling out of a magazine perk or a barrel perk, I will probably go for that, especially with slugs, because that gives me my faster ADS speed. I'm not penalized for being in between ADS. Smoothbore has always felt like an awkward magazine perk, so it's being buffed. So they're going to reduce the spread angle scaler from 1.1 to 1.05. So widens the spread, not as much. Desperado? Yeah, Desperado. So looks like they're reducing how long it lasts from 7 seconds to 6 seconds, and remove the PvE damage penalty. I'm not sure what that is on the top of my head. And increase the fire recovery scaler from 0.4 to 0.7. Oh, air assault. I brought this up one earlier, air assaults. There was one shotgun in the game that had air assaults, and it was a forged shotgun. Funny enough, I never got that one, because that was part of the time when I took my little break in hiatus, but if I'm correct, I think it was threat level? Or was it No, it was the Balagant's XU7743, and the air assault originally gained increased handling while airborne. I believe that perk only came on that one shotgun. With that being said, air assault was shelved a long time ago. By adding the airborne effectiveness stat, gives us the opportunity to turn it back into a perk that actually does what it says in the description. With this change, airborne gunplay while wounded will be much more effective. Okay, so Rebuilt now grants up to a plus 60 airborne effective stat when wounded. Same triggering conditions as Eye of the Storm. So looks like if you're wounded, you're hurt, to an extent, you're going to get a buff to your airborne effectiveness. So if you're coming in, doing that aerial assault with your shotgun, you get shots and whatnot, it's going to ramp up your airborne effectiveness plus 60, and it's going to give you a more viable option to do your I just shotgunned you in the face, I just fusion rifled you in the face, I just whatevered you in the face while being airborne and getting hurt. Mulligan. Mulligan was never quite as strong enough as warranted as a pick, but buffing it would seem too risky on special weapons. Oh yeah. You potentially run into a revoker and or icebreaker scenario again on that situation. With this change, it is useful on rapid fire primer weapons when you don't expect every shot to hit. Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. If you're really, praying and spraying, a little bit of mulligan, buff it on that one. Yeah, okay, makes sense. As long as it's not like rapid frame, fusion rifle, mulligan, didn't hit enough, it procs, gives your bullet back. That's just not too much. With this change, it's useful in rapid fire weapons where you don't expect every shot to hit, occupying a similar role to triple tap, but inverted. Triple tap and 4 times the charm. Now that's funny. Increased chance to return ammo on a miss from 20% to 35% on primary weapons. Unchanged on special and heavy weapons. Okay. Compulsory reloader, shipped a little weak. Yeah. With this change, you can really feel the reload speed bump. Increased reload stat from plus 40 to plus 50. Okay. And added a 0.95 reload animation scaler. So yeah, looks like they're ramping up the reload for a compulsory reloader, which is good. See, Adagio. All right, was allowed for a one-hit body shot kill with slug shotguns. Yes. For those who didn't know, Fortissimo could come with Adiago or Adagio. And if you got it procced, you're one-shot body shotting everyone with a slug shotgun with ridiculous range. While this is possible with other perks such as Swashbuckler, the investment required to trigger the perk is much too low for the power bump. Yes, that is ridiculous. We'll bypass it because a lot of this stuff is, pretty understandable, but geez. However, with Adagio and Fortissimo, and you're able to one-shot body, if you are hitting the head, that gave you effectively a huge range bump to the head as well. Mods, Icarus will now grant the airborne effectiveness stat of its previously airborne accuracy penalty scaler. So they're removing airborne accuracy scaler, now grants plus 15 airborne effectiveness stat. And Adept Icarus now grants plus 15 airborne effectiveness stat and plus 5 handling. Alright, please note that Adept Icarus Grip will now grant 15 effectiveness and 5 handling. If I'm correct, Adept Icarus Grip gave you also like plus 5 range. So they're rolling that back a little bit to give you plus 5 handling. Oh, continuing on. Wait, more weapon talk. All right, no, this is a big one after when I glanced over. So, leaving loot pools at the beginning of Season 17. Iron Banana, occluded finale sniper rifle, and finite impactor hand cannon will be leaving at the end of the season, so get them while you can. Nightfalls, the comedian and palindrome will be leaving at the end of this season, and Shura's Wrath and the messenger pulse rifle will also be leaving. No idea when they'll be back, but at the end of Season 16, those weapons will be gone until further notice. Leaving the loot pools at the beginning of Season 18. Yes, we're already talking about Season 18, which is very interesting. So we still have time to really get that Peace Bond or Archon Thunder machine gun. Nightfalls, Plug 1, and the Hothead rocket launcher will be leaving us. And then we got the Eye of Soul sniper rifle and the Summoner for Trials of Osiris leaving at the end of Season 18. Do note, and I put this in here, that Season 18's weapon changes are up in the air. This is what they're putting out right now, what they're going to take away from us for a little bit, but it's always subject to change. Oh, let's see. Near-term abilities tuning. Ooh. Axion bolts. Let's see. Weapon Talk of the Way, Destiny 2, near term, exotics. Next Tuesday, April 26th, Destiny Hotfix. We'll have the following changes. The Axion bolt base cooldown is going to almost double. Almost double. Axion bolts are probably seemingly looking at like they're a little too strong. I think they're a little too strong that every class has them. And you turn into this huge PvP show of, hey, look, I've got a grape behind me. I've got another grape behind me. And you're running around avoiding these grapes while trying to kill so it doesn't hit you, or you're trying to shoot it. But by the time you're shooting it, if you have an aggressive player who threw it, saw it span out, gives an indication of where they're going, they're already launched at you. You're either running from the blueberry, or you're running from the grape, or you're shooting the grape, and this guy's flying in full bore, and has the start off to take your face off. Now, almost doubling that is going to limit as many Axion bolts as you see, which I like. Titan Barricades base cooldown when the Bastion Void aspect is equipped is now 82 seconds, up from 53 seconds. So we are going to see less Bastion shields. It takes an additional almost 30 seconds to get a new one. And that will actually, the Titan Barricade will actually match the recharge rate of the Warlock Rift. Offensive Bulwark now provides 60% less bonus grenade energy regeneration in PvP game modes. Whispered Chains now provides 15% bonus damage resistance against players when near a stasis crystal, down from 25%. Okay, so this is probably what's coming into play with the Renewal Grasp, which is next on the topic. So we're not going to be able to double, triple dip. So less concern over potentially killing that crystal that the hunter dived in with to get his damage resistance. Not as much as a priority. Still a decent priority, but you won't have to focus on, I don't think, as much. But however, all of this is unchanged versus PvE targets. Renewal Grass, the one that a lot of people have been like really focusing on, and while everyone was, talking about how bad invisible hunters are, and I went on my rants about, hey guys, nothing's changed. And they're like, oh, invisible hunters are invisible all the time. Well, I'm like, nothing's changed. Flawless Executioner, which was easier to proc in PvP, swapped to Stylized Executioner, which is harder to proc, both 10 seconds. The normal dodge, I believe, is, off the top of my head, it's like 3 or 4 seconds. And then we had the Hunter Invis Can, which I like to refer as the Fart Can. All those times didn't change. The only thing that really changed in that case is we were now able to Shatter Dive to deploy our Fart Can. Now continuing on to Renewal Grasp, which I was always like, watch out for those. Those are going to be the ones to be scared about. So while equipped, Renewal Grasp increases the base cooldown of Dustfield Grenade from 62 seconds to 152 seconds. Holy shit. They've effectively increased, based off of mental math, the time it takes to get a grenade when Renewal Grasp is equipped by 1.5 times. So, you can't complain about it too much. It's still going to be a pain to deal with. However, you're not going to see them as frequently. Not unless you have 3 hunters, rocking them. Then you're going to have, snow cones all over the place. The outgoing damage penalty applied to a player's victims in the Renewal Grass Dustful Grenades is reduced from 50% to 20%. So it's not going to be as scary as being in the dust field with the hunter. You're no longer going to go, I fusioned him, he tanked it, or I slug shotgunned him in the face and he still tanked it. It's going to be noticeably different. So don't freak out too much. A bit of balancing come into play. I'm personally okay with the balancing to an extent. It doesn't make it so potent. I really think the 62 should have probably been dumbed down to maybe 120, 124 to just make it, twice as much. And correction, the math multiplier on there is actually 2.5, not 1.5. Let's see. Again, PV targets, no change, no change, no change. Thank goodness. Yeah, no, I'm all down for the balance. It was a little way too strong. It did have a little bit of glitch spots that I've noticed to be like, oh yeah, I'm in my dust field grenade. I just deployed, and I shotgunned the guy in the face. Okay, cannon body, and he shotgunned me once, and I died. It was like 0 effect sometimes. So there was always a weird like glitch where it actually didn't work. I'm not sure if anyone else really noticed that. I noticed it from time to time. But yeah, dumbing it down to make it I am the supreme Cobra commanding hunter tank that's going to come in and wreck your face because I made a Thunderdome that we're all now in while, stomping my ass off potentially. No, I'm Renewal Grasp while, just ping-ponging in there to F everyone's life. Let's see. We got Gambit Labs, Moat Thief. Looking to next week, we also have our second run of Gambit Labs coming into play. Invasion Swap went off well, giving them great data and feedback on moat dunking, invasion cadence, and primeval healing in the world, where you invited opponents onto your playing field when hitting certain thresholds. I like the threshold idea. Instead of it just being randomized based off of like X, Y, and Z, it was really dependent on how you did. It really gave the other teams, I feel, better opportunities. Let's continue on. The Prime Drop Pod for rewards. Yesterday I put this out in my clan because I got the email about the Amazon Prime rewards that came out. No real weapons, just, we're getting a Sparrow, an Aircrafted Ghost, and a Dance. If you have Prime Gaming or Amazon Prime, get those free pickups if you don't have them. If you want them, they're free. Just, collect them, go see Amanda Holiday. And continuing on, looks like we don't got too much update. We have the hotfix 4.0.1.1 coming out next Tuesday. It looks like the maintenance begins normal time, brought offline for about 15 minutes, brought back after you download it. Make sure you restart your Xbox to invoke the download if need be. And we'll come back to play at about 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then at 11, maintenance is complete. Now, we always have that hour of maintenance where things are still going. I think it's where they're supervising it, doing final little tweaks here and there, making sure it's operable, and we move on from there. Oh, below is a list of some issues that are scheduled to be resolved. In hotfix, we got Summoner Auto Rifle from St. 14's Reputation Rewards is missing a Masterwork slot. Interesting. I never really paid attention to that. The Light Blade and the birthplace of the Veil Grandmaster Nightfalls did not count towards the completion of the Total Conquest Triumph. And in Gambit, the Primeval Shield sometimes did not successfully drop after defeating the envoys. That is a really big issue. If you can't get the shields to drop, then what are you doing there? It's not fair. You're kind of locked into a losing battle at that point. Now, my question is, when are they going to actually mark the completions for Vow of the Disciple carries? They recently, like when they debuted everything, there was an emblem you can get. There was like 10 Sherpas. You get the awesome pink triangle emblem. They saw it was glitched. They weren't able to fix it, and so they just gave it to everyone who completed the raid. Congratulations, you completed the raid. Cool. I put it on for about an hour. Saw that they changed it that way. Removed it, deleted it. Didn't care. My achievements, no. They've got a new one that's like yellowish and dottyish. I go on there to claim it, and it's like, you have 0 Sherpas. 0 Sherpas. Raid report says I have 12. What is going on? All right, let's see right here. Known issues. Renewal Grass damage buff does not always function. I was just talking about this, wasn't I? How sometimes I felt like it didn't actually proc and there was a glitch on it. So the Renewal Grass damage buff does not always function within a Dustfield Grenade area effect. Yeah, I noticed that. So it made it an inconsistent. It was a gamble to use at that point. So if it worked great. If not, you're like, well, that play just went to shit. Was it me? Was it something else? Apparently it's something else. The Sweet Sorrow Auto Rifle has an overly bright muzzle flash. It does? Are we talking like, what is that hand cannon? Can't remember the name of the hand cannon. Can't remember the name of anything off the top of my head usually. Um, let's see, exotics, hand cannons. It's a secondary. And sunshot. That, you want to talk about muzzle flash? Damn. Words in chat text may display vertically. This can be resolved by restarting Destiny 2. In any situation. You got an issue with it? Call tech support. What are they going to tell you? You turn it off and turn it back on again. Now, let's see. Lumina's muzzle flash is bright compared to other hand cannons. Is it? Okay, turn it down. Continuing on. Yeah, we just got some, other videos, artists of the week. That's pretty good. I like the Titan etiquette. Art of Savathuna. That's... not even sure how I feel about that. 7 is a magic number. Capture zones. Next trials. Okay. Alright, and with that said, that is going to conclude the patch notes section of this stream. Now, that being said, let's see who's on. Let's see if we want to do a little bit of PvP. Got people in raids. More raids. More raids. And Tower Social. Alright, so with that being said, let us get to some of the deading, ladies and gentlemen. By deading, I want to kill some Guardians for about 20-30 minutes, and then I'm going to be off. I've got some ribs to finish cooking for the Miss Conflux's birthday. She requested them. And some other hangouts. Now let's see. Was it that one? Is that one? Oh, it is that one. Ooh, doggy! Look, we can play and talk at the same time. Now that is very interesting. We've had some chats. Not too sure the chat box is working. Chat box is supposed to be in the area where the conflicts box is. We'll work on that some more and get it back. Whoa. What is going on with the camera here today? That's not my background going on there. That's not supposed to be like that. There we go. That's a bit better. I think when I swapped the stuff for the TWAB reading earlier, I kind of messed it up because they kind of link together. All right, let's discuss some survival fun. Alright, just another heads up. This stream will be moving solely to Twitch, and I will be pushing my content to YouTube. However, forking the stream has been a little too extensive on quality and demeanor and everything else. I can do it, but there's just too many issues. Alright, let's commit to our battles wisely. Now we're only going to do a handful of matches. Nothing too crazy. See where they're going. Going to push to the right? Nope. Oh, no! That's a record.
What can stop you if you fight together? Nothing. Enemy team has no
Let's
reserves.
go.
Finish them. One opponent remains. You smashed your enemies to dust. Round start. You're in the lead. Three lives left. Hunters like you blaze a path for the rest of us. Together as one. I love it. Last light. This is it. 1 minute. You're neck and neck on reserves. No lives left for your enemy. Destroy them. Your team's out of lives. Seconds. Both teams out of reserve. End this. Your enemy won the round. You're evenly matched, but one team must fall. Three lives left. Last life.
The stream seems rather laggy right now.
You're out of lives. Fight on just the same. Only 1 minute left. Enemy team is out of lives. Topple them. Seconds. Both teams out of reserves. End this. Your enemies have bested you. This time. Your enemy has a lead on you. Take it. Three lives left. Last life. This is it. You're out of lives. Fight on just the same.
keep focusing too much on this stream quality that I'm actually playing.
Enemy team is out of lives. Topple them. Not enough. But it's not over. Enemy has match point. Show them how little you care. Three lives left. Last life. Your team out of line. One minute left. No life left for your enemy. Destroy them. Ten seconds. Allies down. Lives extinguished. The enemy has won. Survival. Your ghost has limited power. Survive at all costs. Three lives left. Last life. This is it. You're out of lives. Fight on just the same. No lives left for your enemy. Destroy it. 1 minute. No more second chances. Fight to the finish. 30 seconds. Both teams out of reserve. End this.
Caitlin's last go is going into birth, so I'm gonna go over there.
10
and
seconds.
see if I can see. Okay.
No,
It's strange.
I'm gonna be done here soon.
Tiebreaker
It's
active.
a lot.
It's entirely. It's your birthday, love. It's entirely up to you. Okay.
What's this?
One opponent standing. You smashed your enemies to dust. Round start. You're ahead.
I don't know. Maybe Twitch is the issue. Maybe I need to go over to you.
The 6 lane.
3 lives left.
But do you need any of those? Okay. And do I have to or? Let me.
Enemy team is out of lives. Topple them. 1 minute left. The enemy is out of second chances.
Oh.
This is it.
Welcome back.
One foe remains.
I don't think any of my chat windows are working
Lives
now.
on your side. 30 seconds. Both teams out of reserves. End this. You annihilated them. Round start. The lead is yours. I need a hunter like you with the red jacket. No lives left for your enemy. Destroy it. That's why we have fire teams. 3 lives left.
Whoa! Why are you running into me? Literally.
1 minute left. The enemy is out with second chance. Last life. This is it. One opponent standing. You're out of lives. Fight on just a second. You smashed your enemies to dust. Victory is within reach. Crush them. Three lives left.
Mmm. Well, action. Thank you, little fire guy, for the resub for 2 months. I appreciate it.
Last life. Your team's out of lives.
Oh. The lights. The light got me. Yeah, it would appear that my computer is too hot right now and doesn't like streaming at the moment. And I think that's really what's giving me the lag and the delays. So I'm gonna have to figure out something around that.
Not enough. But it's not over. Victory is within reach. Crush them.
Ooh.
3 lives left.
Mm.
Last life. This is it. You're out of lives. Fight on just the same.
The teams. Aw. Thank you, fire guy.
One minute left.
These guys are playing me.
Not this time. You've been defeated. Victory is within reach. Crush them. Team has no reserves left. Finish them. 1 minute left. The enemy is out of second chances. Last life.
Oh, unlucky.
On your side. 30 seconds. Both teams out of reserves.
Yeah, the stream is laggy at the moment because my computer isn't necessarily designed for streams. I'm coming to the conclusion of my CPU is really hot. It usually sits around about 120 degrees. It's at 134 degrees. I've turned down the bit rates. There's not much I can do right now, and it's pissing me off, to be honest. Which means I now need to get a new computer for streaming. Sad panda. Well, with that being a thing, I appreciate everyone who came to the stream. It is time to spend the rest of the day and eve with the mama bear, the Miss Conflicts. It is her birthday after all, so she deserves all of the attention now that she is no longer working. I'll continue to diagnose what is going on with the connections to bring you guys a much more reliable stream. I hope everyone loved the TWAB review portion. Hopefully it wasn't too laggy. Hopefully I didn't go into too much craziness detail. It was rather lengthy. Did take up a lot of the time that I had planned for, and then some. So with that, peace, love, respect. Until next time, peaces.